Chinese name versus PAWG Hunter. PAWG Hunter. Never heard that name before. PAWG Hunter. Alright, so PAWG Hunter is the almonds. Nothing special. Another almond player, another day. And Chinese feller is playing the Dutch. So, Dutch versus almonds. Interesting matchup. If I remember correctly, I think we've seen the Dutch actually beat the Ottomans during this tournament, right? I believe it was JulianK, if I remember correctly, right? JulianK playing as Dutch was able to beat an Ottoman player. So Dutch can be an effective counter to the Ottomans, you know? If you do it right, obviously. If you play into their Fortress Age strengths against those powerful Age 3 shipments that the Ottomans run, I think you can do it. So, yeah. Let's see if this ends up working or not, right? So Mosque is down here, Trading Post is down for the almond player, trying to max out as much XP as they can to get a ton of unit shipments. They're going to need every single one they can against the Dutch. 30 food treasure there. Dutch also setting up their build order right now. So the thing you got to understand about Dutch, their villagers actually cost gold. They cost gold because the Dutch love their money. They actually build banks to trickle gold, so if you ever want a lot of money, just be Dutch in this game. They love their money. They have tons of banks full of money. So, yeah, basically these villagers here, the merchants, they cost gold, but they also gather gold faster too. So, typically in the Dutch build order, you'll have a couple of your merchants gathering some gold at the start, just so you can queue up enough villagers to keep your town center churning out vills until you're ready to age up. So that way your town center is not going to waste and you're getting a substantial amount of villagers to go from age 1 to age 2 with and to keep your build order working just well. So right now more than half the food needed for an age up is already there, so I think this player timed it out pretty well. Also shipping in 3 merchants from the home city. This is great. This should be quite substantial. So it looks like Ottoman player trying to snare the Dutch explorer a bit there, but at this point, kind of a waste. If you go in too deep, Dutch player could just garrison the TC at any time and just take out your explorer, denying you some pretty critical treasures, you know? In these 1v1s, treasures are important. As many treasures as you can get. Like the Dutch one's gonna get 60 food up here. Quite good. You know why it's important? Because the thing you do between age 1 and 2 as a Dutch, try to get your first bank. Banks cost 350 food and 350 wood. So any food treasure like this you can get, it's going to help you to get a bank very quickly. Right, whereas the Ottoman player is going to get 80 XP. Ottomans love XP, means extra unit shipments. And unit shipments for Ottomans usually means a win or a huge advantage. So both players are kind of getting what they want out of this treasure system. Dutch explorer is heading in the direction, but Ottoman player should have it done way before. Yep, indeed he will. So Dutch player is going quartermaster, 400 wood. Probably the same from the Ottoman too. Going with the naturalist. Interesting. So naturalist is going to give him some villagers, give him some food in the form of herbals. Quite interesting. So yeah, that should be quite fun. So what does the Ottoman deck even look like? So fast fortress. Fast fortress. So we're going to see a fast fortress. At least we're supposedly going to see a fast fortress. So that's sort of the duality we've noticed between the Dutch and the Ottomans in the last game that we saw that had JulianK as Dutch. Basically what the Dutch do, they say, okay, Ottomans, you're going to go for your fast fortress. So we're going to make an even better fast fortress by having the trickle economy of banks to back it up. So not only are we in age 3 as well, but we got all this gold churning out from our banks. Looks like they were able to time their bank perfectly between that transition. And on top of that, what you can do is Dutch. You can move some of your villagers over again to a mine where they gather faster from than an average villager to ensure if you don't have enough gold at your bank to basically maintain your villager economy, you can have that extra gold from the mine to make sure that you're always churning out villagers and keeping up with your Ottoman opponent. Your Ottoman opponent, they get villagers for free, so they don't have to do all that work to make sure that they're queuing up vills. It's one of the things that makes Ottomans feel like a very lazy civ, is that they don't have to worry about having enough food or making sure they remember to collect the town center. It's just done for them. You on Dutch, on the other hand, gotta make sure you have enough coin to do that. So, getting bank number 2, this is typical Dutch behavior right here. Get 700 wood, build another bank, and then after that, then you typically ship in your 3rd bank through the home city with this bank wagon. That way you have 3 trickles of gold, all amounting to 2.75 per second. Combining all those, you got like over 8 gold per second, which is quite good. Quite good. Actually, they're getting bank number 3 down because they've been so diligent with their hunt and their wood economy, so they're getting bank number 3. That means they're going to have a whopping 4 banks here to match the Ottomans. They know that the Ottomans are probably going fast fortress, so the odds that they're going to rush them out of the gate with Janissaries is pretty low at this point. And if you want to look at the line of sight of the Dutch player and what he's seen so far, he has not seen any developed barracks yet, so he can safely assume that the chance that it's going to be an outright push out of the gate is very low. So he has enough time to finagle 4 banks. Actually, he's going to finagle in 5 banks, so he's going to get his whole build limit of banks done. So his gold economy is pretty maxed out for age 2. Ottoman player going with the scout, they're going to get some delis, so get some hand cavalry. That means for the Dutch, when they're preparing their age 3, they're probably going to go for some Reuters to counteract that, some one-pop dragoons that they get. Now they're going for 600 wood. So, I don't know what they're going for just yet. Are they going to counteract them in age 3, or are they just going to stick in age 2? They can, the thing is, if you stick in age 2 as the Dutch, you're forced to use pikemen, which is a hand infantry against hand cav. So, a little bit of chasing around. Sometimes you can reach the deli, sometimes you can't. So, yeah, ideal situation for Dutch would always be to be in age 3 with veteran skirm, veteran Reuter, to sort of deal with each other's counters. But if you're stuck in age 2, you're going to have to replace Reuters with pikemen to protect your skirmishers, which, by the way, Dutch, the only European civ that starts a game with skirmishers as their range infantry instead of muskets. They get early access to skirmishers, but no muskets. So your counter cav is a little bit less flexible, but your anti-infantry is booming. Okay, so the Dutch does get enough resources to get their age 3 now. They're going to build a stable and a barracks. 1 stable for Reuters, 1 barracks for skirmishers. All they have to do is sort of survive here as long as they can and deal with the Ottoman pressure. They're queuing up Janissaries, and they got those free 4 delis from the age up. Also, the Ottoman is starting to send those beefy unit shipments in. 2 falconets followed by 8 Janissaries right here. So if you're Dutch right now, you got to stall for as much time as you can. How much resources do they got to play with? So they got all 5 banks done, so gold is not a problem. They got a ton of gold, and because they've been herding well, they got a hunt right here that they can keep grabbing from whenever the Ottoman player isn't paying attention. So they kind of did good for themselves with their defense here, making sure they have some easy-to-access food. They're going to finish this bison off. They got this one, and they have this bison right here to look at how they timed the herding. Bison right outside the town center, ready to go to eat. So what the Dutch player can do right away, make some halberdiers, make a hussar. I don't know about hussar halberdier, honestly. I think it's a little bit... Oh, interesting. So this is an interesting move right here. Going for the halberdiers to push onto the falconet, that's a powerful move. Because halberdiers, believe it or not, even though they're heavy infantry, they have a hand attack comparable to hand cavalry, so they can rush artillery if used properly. So they actually down the artillery, and now they're pressuring the Janissaries with their large hand attack. Yeah, halberdiers are one of the most flexible units in the game for units that they can reach. They can fight infantry, they can fight cavalry, they can fight artillery. If the halberdiers get close, they can fight theoretically anything. People fail to realize how good halberdiers are in straight-up one-on-one combat. Look at, they shredded heavy infantry, regardless of their high HP and hand armor. They got rid of the cav, and they even got rid of the artillery. So this was a huge turnaround for the Dutch player. Completely took out a major siege. Now, the only thing they have to worry about now is this stacking of Janissaries. But what you can do is you can retreat, you can stall as much time as you need, let these Janissaries get cut up by the town center cover fire there, and just bide your time. Do you have enough? He doesn't have any wood. I was going to say repair that barracks, stall even more time, but guess what? Dutch has a shipment. They're going to get skirmishers now. So now they do have something to scare the Janissaries away with, which is skirmishers. Veteran skirmishers. So now these Janissaries cannot hold their position. They have to run off now into the sunset. And now, because you have these established halberdiers as the Dutch player, Safahi Mamluk, not a winner right now. They would actually be threatened by these halbs quite a bit. Ottomans have to come up with some sort of method here of how to hold. So right now they only have a barracks. They have not had any time to get a foundry or a stable. So no abyss gunners, no cav archers. So what did they do? We'll have to see. For right now though, they're going to take the time because they have a sizable stack of Janissaries already. Get veteran Jans. Get that HP especially up. They're also going to pick up a foundry to get some artillery. They're queuing up falconets. Yeah, because there's no sort of... Oh, actually, they do have cav. They have hussars. So what they decided is, because they've seen helbs, they've seen skirms, they're assuming that this Dutch at the moment is going to be a mostly infantry-based army, so falconet is the most appropriate nuclear option to deal with infantry, so they're going to go for falcons. They're going to queue up 2 of them. They're probably going to get 3 of them at least. 3 falconets. They got the big coin shipment in, so they might be able to get 4 or 5 of these falcons. They could actually get all 5 because they have the wood for it. Can they eke out the last of this gold to get 5 falconets? Unfortunately, they weren't able to grab the gold fast enough to do it, but 4 falconets is nothing to laugh at. If Dutch plays their game wrong here, they could lose their whole army and be put into a bad position, so they have to be very careful. If they have to retreat back to their base and buy themselves some time, that's what they have to do. They can't be too risky here. Ottomans are approaching their villager build limit, so they have to get their build limit up from 25 vills to 40 vills. Sometimes you don't realize that even though the Ottomans get free villagers, they do have a small build limit to start, and you're forced to spend extra resources to get that build limit up at the mosque. So they just did that now. Galata district, the first one, is pretty cheap, so it's not a huge deal, but you gotta make sure you have the resources to do it. Let's see what Dutch is planned. So they're getting halbs, hussars. They've seen the writing on the wall with the falconets, so they know they need some counter artillery. Question is, what did they get? Also, he's got another shipment upcoming too, so he could potentially get these 9 Reuters. He could even go for Bosniaks. My guess is probably the 9 Reuters right now. But he's got to get enough wood for a house to be able to get those Reuters out, so he can maximize his anti-artillery potential there. That's the only way that that's going to basically work in the end. Yeah. Alright, so Halberdiers there. Very nice. Hussars also queuing up, which is quite good. Very nice. Hussars a veteran. These are also veteran. Very good. Alright, so Hussars they're trying to get through this wall of Janus. Can he connect? Yes, he can most definitely connect because the mass of Hussars is so big, he's gonna connect at some point. It's just how many Hussars is he gonna get across that barrier. So he does get enough to take out 1 falconet, 2 falconet, 3, and 4. So all the falconets are down. Enough halberdiers to clean up the supplies. So that will be another Dutch victory against Ottomans in this tournament. Very strong. I love the Dutch. It's great to know that the Dutch are a great counter to the Ottomans too. Though there is a bit of a risk there, as we've seen, that the Ottomans press in very deep and they force the Dutch onto their heels. But if they resist, they seem to be the favored winner, it seems like. Yeah. That was a pretty good showcase that the Ottomans are not the gods. They're not the demigods, you know. There are ways to deal with an Ottoman player very appropriately. And that was a good show of it right there. Can't let the Ottomans get ahead of you, you know. And for what we know, that Haudenosaunee player also beat the Ottomans with their good aggression. So